Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Shania. So I first want to start off by saying happy Valentine's Day, happy Galentine's Day, happy Judatine's Day, and if you don't celebrate, happy day. I personally feel like the best date possible is an evening cuddled up with a good book, particularly a good romance book. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to give you guys some recommendations for steamy, hot, sexy, and all in all, smutty romance books. Alright, so I decided that I wanted to break up all these books into categories because you know we all have a type when it comes to romance, and I thought that this video needed some structure. So the very first category that we're going to start with is high school age romance. Alright, so when it comes to high school age romance, I feel like a lot of authors try to stay away from that, especially when they're writing books that are containing smut, because, I don't know, it's kind of an awkward topic when you're talking about under 18-year-olds and like romance, love, and sex. It's just, I don't know, not many people like to do it. But I do have a few recommendations that I personally love, and we're going to start off with the Queen of Romance, my favorite, Penelope Douglas. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Bully by Penelope Douglas. And if you guys haven't read anything by Penelope Douglas before, I would suggest that you guys start off by reading Bully because it is her very first book that she ever wrote, and it only goes up from there on. So I always say that you guys should start with Bully because I didn't read Bully first, and when I went back I was kind of disappointed because her writing style and her plot development was not as on par as her other books. So I would just suggest that you read this one first and then go read her other ones after. So this book, of course, is set in high school, and we have two main characters. We have Tate and Jared, but we only get Tate's point of view throughout this. So Jared and Tate were actually best friends in middle school, but upon entering high school, they become enemies because Jared begins to bully Tate. So there is kind of a trigger warning with this book. If you guys aren't really into bullying, this might not be the book for you because there is some emotional and mental abuse, but I wouldn't say anything too extreme. Jared just kind of does a lot of pranks and forces Tate to become sort of an outcast in the high school, but upon their senior year, Tate is done with that and she is ready to stand up to her bully. And then of course, because she stands up to her bully, then Jared and her realize their differences and they miss each other, and then romance comes out of this bullying relationship. But I did find this book enjoyable. The Steam is kind of like a side piece. Like, if you guys want like a really nice plot-driven character development book with just a little bit of smut on the side, maybe like one or two scenes, then this book is definitely for you. And I definitely think that you guys need to read stuff by Penelope Douglas. And like I said, this is the perfect book to start out with. Alright, so moving along in this category, the next book that I want to talk about can also be considered an age gap romance. So if you guys are into that, then this might be the best of both worlds. You get high school and age gap. This book is Unteachable by Leah, Raeder, and this is, of course, like I said, set in high school, but it deals with an 18-year-old senior and her relationship with her high school teacher. The book kicks off with the two meeting each other at a carnival. They end up riding the same ride and they just connect with each other really well and start building a relationship, and then they go back and they sleep together, but they felt after they slept together that they had a real connection with one another. But of course, upon the next day when they go to school, for the very first day of school, the main character walks into the room and she sees her teacher, which is the man she slept with the night before, and of course that is taboo as hell. Yeah. So it's definitely more of a taboo book, but I felt like the author handled the situation really well, and there are some really steamy scenes, and it was really, really good. So if you guys want to have that student-teacher relationship, and you're kind of like intrigued by it, then I would definitely check out this book because it's really, really good, and I felt like it had a really good overall message behind it. So I highly, highly recommend this one. Alright, so the last book in this high school age romance category is one of my personal favorites of Penelope Douglas. I absolutely adored this book, and it's the first book that I ever read by her, and that is Punk 57. This book is a dual point of view that has our two main characters, Ryan and Misha, and they end up being pen pals and 5th grade, but after their 5th grade year, they decide to continue their pen pal relationship with one exception, that they will never ever meet each other or seek each other out, even though they live only one town away from each other. I didn't realize going into this book that I was going to be such a fan of pen pal relationships, but I absolutely loved it, and I felt like Ryan and Misha were such a great character. And I also didn't realize that I had a soft spot in my heart for punk boys with lip rings, but that's what Misha was, and I just adored him so much. I do want to let you guys know that there is bullying involved in this one as well, probably more than actually Bully by Penelope Douglas, but I still really enjoyed this book. The steam in this book is by far some of my all-time favorite. I love this relationship. I love the way the two connect, and the smut is so prime, you guys. You just have to read it for anything. Just read it for the smut because it is so good. Alright, so moving on to our next category, I'm gonna bump it up in age a little bit here. We're gonna go to college age romance. So the first book that I'm gonna talk about is one that I raved in my January wrap up about. I loved this book so much, and that is The Guy on the Right by Kate Stewart. This book deals with the friends to lovers trope, so if you guys are into that, then this is definitely a good book for you. And our two main characters, Theo and Lainey, are of course in college, and they meet each other one night after a string of just bad relationships, and they end up connecting with one another and become fast best friends. Theo and Lainey have vastly different personalities. We have Theo, who's kind of the laid-back band nerd, and then we have Lainey, who's the loud, popular, outgoing girl. But their romance in this is so adorable. I loved it so much, and this is another one of those books that has like smut and steam, just as like a little side dish, and I really loved it because I was really in it for the character development and the plot, because they connected so well, and I was laughing my ass off the entire time. And I've told people when I recommend it that this is kind of like a John Green book, but college style. So everything about it is just perfect. So the next book that I'm going to recommend to you guys in the college age romance category is one that is also a series. So if you guys want to have multiple books, then this is also a really good pick for you. But that is Wait for You by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This one kind of has mixed reviews, but I personally really enjoyed this one. The first one is by far my favorite. I really like the characters, I like the message behind it, and I think that the other books are really good too, because each of the books deals with a really hard topic and how the characters can overcome it and deal with it within their relationship. Each of these books in this series do have a lot of steam, a lot of smut, but what I liked about this series is that the sex scenes aren't just like they're not just sex scenes and they mean nothing really. These all are centered around something that is very more. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but there is a point to the smut. There is a reason behind it, and you just connect with the characters even more when you're reading them. Not just like you're basically reading smut. Like, there's a reason. Okay, so moving on to our next category. This category also deals with college, but I decided to break it up into a different category because we're going to be talking about sports romance. This is another category that I didn't really think that I was actually going to enjoy, but I, for some reason, am a stan of sports romance, and it's just weird because a lot of it is not dealing with sports that I really enjoy, but I'm here for it. So the very first book that I want to discuss with you guys is by far my favorite sports romance ever, and that is The Deal by Elle Kennedy. So the sport behind this one is hockey. Our main love interest is a very popular hockey player, but that's not really the whole premise of the book. The main point of it is that this book is a fake dating trope type book. So the two characters start off with kind of meeting just randomly in their classroom, and they both have something that they can gain from the other, so they of course decide to make this pact and start fake dating. But as we all know with the fake dating trope, because right now I am also reading To All the Boys I Loved Before, we know that fake dating never ends with them just fake dating. It ends with them real life dating, and this book is no exception. I absolutely loved this one. It also handled a hard topic and had a really great overall message, and I loved it. And this is another one of those books where the smut scenes are so good. It's like one of my favorite books just for the smut, and I was here for it. I absolutely loved it, and I think you guys should definitely check this one out. Okay, so the next two books in this category I'm going to just basically group together because they're very similar to one another, and that is they're dealing with a football player and a girl in college. So the first book that deals with football is Enemies by Erin Trejo. If you could tell from the title, this is an enemies to lovers trope. The two were enemies as kids. Something happened in their past that made them hate each other. And then when it came time for our main character to go to college, she ends up running into this football player that she hasn't seen in a long time. And there's a traumatic event that brings the two together. And of course, romance ensues, and this is another one of those books where there's only like 1 or 2 sex scenes. It's very minimal, just that little side dish again, so if you guys want something like that where it's very plot driven, then this might be the book for you. Also, what I really like about this book is that the characters are from South Dakota, and me being from South Dakota, I was like really praising this book. I really liked it. And as for our next book, this book is I Dare You by Ilsa Madden-Mills, and this one, honest to God, I cannot remember what the hell happened in this book. All I remember is that there was a girl in college and a guy that wanted to make it pro in football, and they had a romance. I think the girl had some difficulties in her past life. It's pretty typical when it comes to romance books, but there was some steam in there, and I think I really enjoyed it. That's all I remember. So I would definitely check out those if you guys are into the whole football, college age type of romance. Those might be it for you. Okay, so moving on to the next category. This is one of my personal favorite categories. I love books like this, and that is age gap romance. So I do have a couple more books in here that are by Penelope Douglas. I'm sorry, you guys, but Penelope Douglas is like the queen, like I said, of steamy romance books. She is just, she's where it's at. So you guys need to definitely go check her out if you haven't already. But the very first book that I'm going to talk about is Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. This is the book that I feel like everybody reads by Penelope Douglas. A lot of people really love this one, and I feel like if you guys just want something that's going to be really, really good right away, then I would definitely check out this one because a lot of people love this one. This book starts with our main character going to the movie theater, and she meets a mysterious man, and they end up sitting next to each other during the movie, and they end up really connecting with one another. And of course, after the movie ends, they find out that they have a similar interest, and that is the girl is dating the guy's son. So to sum this up a little bit better, the book deals with the romance between our main character and her boyfriend's dad. It's really interesting because, of course, right after she meets him, she gets evicted from her apartment, and the dad, Pike, swoops in and says that her and his son can come live with them. And so it's like a one house trope, not like a one bed trope, but like a one house, you know, they're living together, and of course they end up having this glorious romance with one another. It's definitely another one of those taboo books. Penelope Douglas is very well known for her taboo topics, but she handles them, again, so well, and this is such a steamy, good romance. Out of all these books, this one is probably the one with the slowest burn, I have to say, so if you guys are into that slow burn romance, then definitely check out this one, because it is so good, and I know so many people absolutely love this book. So the next age gap romance that I have on this list is a very heartwarming one. This one is a very classy, great book that I really enjoyed, and it deals with our main character who is 27 years old and her relationship with a 37-year-old man. To give you more context, our main love interest, this 37-year-old man, is a single dad, and he has 3 adorable children. Definitely like a Despicable Me type of vibe that I had feeling during this book, but like I said, he's a single dad, and this 27-year-old girl is his nanny for his kids. So you've got a nanny relationship here, and it's really good, but it's a really cute story, and it's really good. It's really cute. The girls in it are just adorable. Seeing him as a single dad is so cute, and the relationship that she has with the family, it's so heartwarming. So if you guys want a really cute story with some smut in there, then this one is definitely it. Alright, so this last book in this age gap romance category is one that I didn't really know where to put it in all the categories that I had, so I decided to put it in this one because there is an age gap romance happening in this, but that is Credence by Penelope Douglas. And you guys, this is by far my favorite Penelope Douglas book ever. Originally, I was really into Punk 57, the one I mentioned earlier, but when this one came out, it just kicked that one out of that place and it just took the top spot for me. I love this book so much. Out of all of Penelope's books, this one is definitely her most taboo book. It is a weird situation. I don't know if I really would be into it if it's a real life situation, but book-wise, I was like, okay. So this book deals with our main character, Tijan, who is almost 18, and unfortunately her parents end up passing away, and she ends up deciding to go live with her dad's step-brother, who she has never met, and his name is Jake, and he lives in the mountains of Colorado with his two sons, Noah and Caleb, who are 20 and 21. And so when she goes and lives with them, she ends up having a relationship with all of them. So yes, very taboo. Even though she's not blood related to them, they're all related to each other, and she's having, you know, some steamy scenes with all of them. Throughout the book, you have no idea who she's gonna end up with until like the very, very end, and it's just it's so good. It's such a good book. I absolutely loved it. Alright, so our next category is one that I decided to put 2 and 2 together, and that is Mafia / motorcycle gang romance. This is basically a category that's going to deal with men that are dark, kind of demented, and not afraid to kill people. They are the head honchos, and they don't care if your life is in jeopardy. Their life is what is important, and they will kill and do anything to maintain their status. So the very first book in this category is one of my all-time favorite romance books ever. I love this one. It is a duology, and I think it's so good. I actually think the second one in this series is better than the first, but together they make such a good freaking story. And that series is Menace by J.M. Darhower. So this is your mafia boss type of book. It's set in New York, and we have our main love interest, Lorenzo, who literally doesn't give a shit about anybody. He is a badass. He will kill anyone that gets in his way, even if it's something so insignificant. He doesn't care about your life, and he will kill you. And then we have our other main character, Morgan, who is actually a stripper. She is trying to survive, and this is the only way that she can make enough money to support herself. What I really loved about this series was that the characters both have traumatic pasts, and from those traumatic pasts, you can tell that it kind of molded them into the person that they were at that point of the book, and they kind of just come together. They have a mutual understanding of one another, and it's really adorable. It's not one that's going to be like your typical cutesy romance. It's very hard-hitting. There is a lot of trigger warnings in this one, a lot of violence, a lot of sexual abuse in this one. It's a difficult book for sure, but the author handles it really, really well, and I felt like the messages behind it were very important. She really sticks to the topic of how strippers can be judged very harshly, but all in all, they're just trying to survive like any other person, and they have a lot of strength, and I really commended the whole message that was delivered throughout this book. Alright, so the next book is your motorcycle gang book, and this is Declan by Erin Trejo. This one is part of a series, I think it's something the Soulless Bastards series, but it's a really interesting series. The steam in this one was by far very interesting. It starts off with our main character hanging out with her girlfriends, and she gets dared to go over to the motorcycle gang place. It's like a nightclub type of place or something like that, and she gets dared to go over there, and she does, and she meets our main love interest, Declan, and they end up having a really odd relationship. And there's like a really smutty scene at the very beginning that I didn't know I was into, but like, okay, it's something I haven't read before, so I was like, alright. I think that this one was really interesting because we had a big badass type of motorcycle gang leader, and how he became kind of soft and cute with his new relationship with this girl, and she's kind of a badass too, so it was really interesting. I think it was a really good romance, and if you guys are into that type of motorcycle gang type of situation, then I would definitely check out this one as well. Alright, so the last book in this category shouldn't technically be in this category, but I felt like it could have been, because it's not really dealing with a mafia, it's not really dealing with a motorcycle gang, but I felt like maybe it could fit in a little bit with that type of leadership quality, and that is Vicious by LJ Shen. So Vicious is another one of my all-time favorite romance books. I love this one a lot. This one also deals with bullying. I'm not really sure why I read so many books that deal with bullying, but this one deals with bullying as well, and you have that type of situation where you get a lot of flashbacks towards the past, so you kind of see what happened and how it shaped them into how they are now when they're 27. But what I really love about this book is our main love interest, Vicious, and it is his nickname. He kind of is like a mafia boss. He's the leader of like his friend group. He's very rich, and he's just kind of like a 50 Shades type of character, you know, your Mr. Grey type of character. He's kind of like that, but he is way more badass, and he's way more of an interesting character. I think you guys should check out this one. There's a lot of good steam in this one as too. I mean, I feel like that goes without saying if it's one of my all-time favorite books. I love good smut, so definitely check out this one as well. Alright, so those are all the book recommendations I have for romance books, and I know it was a lot, but these are all books that I've been wanting to talk about for quite some time. I've been wanting to do this video for so long, but I decided to wait until the holiday of romance to tell you guys about it. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope that you guys can find some books that you really enjoy as well, and if you guys have read any of these books, please let me know down below what your thoughts were, and please don't spoil for everybody else. But I really want to see what your guys' thoughts were and if you guys enjoyed them as well. And if there's any other book recommendations in regards to like romance reads that you guys think I should definitely check out, then let me know down below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys haven't already, please subscribe. I would love for you guys to join the family. And if you guys want to follow me on any of my social media, I'll have it linked down below as well. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!